of the Diddy trial has concluded, ladies and gentlemen. And as we always do, we go over the transcripts and let you know exactly what has been happening in the case. And then you can make up your own mind on who's winning, who's losing, and how the trial you think is going so far. After a stern warning by the judge that they need to get to the evidence and speed things up a little bit because they over exhausting the point of domestic violence. So far, the most powerful testimony I heard was yesterday from Cassie's mother. To the defense didn't even challenge her. They just said, get her off the stand quick. So they want Cassie's mother out of the way. And now you have the HSI guy continuing his testimony that he started yesterday. And a former employee of Diddy's who did something pretty interesting today. Now, every celebrity seems to have a fixer or somebody in charge that takes care of things or problems when they present themselves. So, being someone who doesn't take care of these things is looked at it with a side eye or skew, right? People are not necessarily happy when they start thinking about how people move, how they've been handling themselves, and how the situation has been going into future developments. He had a mechanic. He had a Ray Donovan. This guy named Kaplan that took care of things for him. Now, it would be massive. It would be like Ray Donovan taking the stand. But some of these things, he could end up being charged for if he was to go into full detail. So he would need to make sure he took care of things to protect himself by giving himself full immunity. And the judge granted him immunity. So we're going to get into all of that. We just want everybody to get in here and have a chance to the first time I've ever done that. Try to. That's weird. As I bring my Gatorade to get hydrated for the game. There's always a sort of disinformation that other people wave around that others don't engage in. So people are constantly making bad decisions on a horizon when it comes to doing what's right and doing what's wrong. Now, when you're making these kind of moves, is going to be under the spotlight. So everything you do, your actions, your reactions, all of it is being recorded and documented, to say the least. They're not playing games. That's where the world got it twisted. Nobody's playing a game. They're out here trying to win a case on both sides. It's a lot of agendas at base, a lot of pieces of the puzzle at work. You have a lot of people doing things that are counterproductive. So how do you combat these scenarios and situations? Well, you got to get to the actual testimony in the trial. Yes, hit the like button. Hit the like button so they can know you're not a bot. I can feel those electrolytes flowing through the cosmos in my veins. Now, woo. Ooh, that's brisk. If we want to know what Cassie is about, mm-hmm. No, I don't think it's something that's for question. You got to hit the like button, subscribe to the page, hit that notification bell. We will have some breaking news that I have about these developments that I got some information on. I just want to go add some other things to it by researching the information I got earlier today. So I will be pressing on with that.
Different cases, but everyone, this case.
A lot of people feel that, it went one way or another. Yeah, well, if you move in that notion where there's gonna be more to the case, everybody could see that. Kid Cudi, I believe, is going to be tomorrow. Everybody thought he was today. Kid Cudi will be there tomorrow. The government brought in Astroglide and baby oil as entered into evidence. I swear to God, they entered into evidence Astroglide. There's a rubber ducky. I don't know what the rubber ducky is for. This is baby oil and Astroglide. This is entered into evidence. in a green rubber ducky. Goddamn, what the rubber ducky do? Here, rubber ducky. Here, rubber ducky. Here, rubber ducky. What did he gonna do walking there? Oh yeah, don't forget the duck. Here come the duck. I want the rubber ducky to sit on your belly. Come on, rubber ducky. Come on, rubber ducky. I want a swimming pool full of some baby oil with Astroglide. Yeah, I want it glistening. And then I want the rubber ducky just floating across the pool. Yeah, rubber ducky. What did the rubber ducky do to be thrown into evidence? God damn, they got the rubber ducky in evidence. Who puts a rubber ducky in evidence? What is Astroglide and baby oil doing there? Shoot, there's some babies out here ashy as hell because there's a shortage going on around here because they didn't put it all in goddamn evidence. Baby oil is illegal now. Let me get rid of mine. I got some here that I got one bottle that lasts me about 10 years. Oh, yes. So, anyway, this is what happened in court today. All y'all are here. Hit the like button. Try and hit the like button so we can get going now. Gotta hit that like button. It's important. Because when you hit the like button, they know you're real. Now, before the jury is let in, the judge is talking to everybody there. They said the defense letter about Dr. Hughes preserves your objections, Mrs. Shapiro, but the defense letter is not in the docket. While after the inner city press objections came in about the U.S. letter, city press for doing what they've been doing inside that courtroom, documenting everything so people that the masses can have the truth. Don't forget to go follow the inner city press for doing a great job. And without them, we wouldn't have this truth. We'd have to depend on teaser tails. And oh Lord, no, we don't want that. And so they said, when we bring Dr. Hughes on the stand, they said Mr. Botch can raise that question up in cross, right? That's the 10th lawyer that Diddy has. That's the husband of Alexandra Shapiro, who was defense for Trump in his trial. So they say, what about these text messages involving Ms. Ventura and buying drugs in Boston? So the government said, we think it's irrelevant. But if they redacted it, it is not hearsay that she was in Boston and on her own. And I think that that's why Mr. Agafino wants it in. And so the judge said, I'll think on it. Now, why do they want to think on it? And why don't the prosecution want that into evidence? Because if Cassie was on her own in Boston and buying drugs, wouldn't that go along with what I was saying when she was a drug addict? And she was doing drugs when Diddy wasn't around? This would goes along the ways to showing that she's a drug addict and she was independent. This goes a long ways to that testimony. So all of this is before the jury is brought back in. So this is what they're deciding. The judge is going to decide if he's going to even enter that into court. About her buying drugs in Boston, the mean streets of Boston. Now, they said we were concerned that Mrs. Porter's death will be used to build sympathy for Mr. Cohn and lead jurors. This is what the government is saying, that they believe and they're concerned that Kim Porter's death may be used to build sympathy for Mr. Combs and lead jurors to believe that if he's convicted, his children may, and the judge said, I'll think on it. As to Mr. McCuddy, Kid Cuddy, the defense is concerned about hearsay. Well, Mr. McCuddy will not be testifying today. The judge said, did I miss that? It's like, we emailed you at 10:45 p.m. He said, that is not in the record. Why not? No need to take a week to redact that. So they sent the letter, showing that they sent the letter to the judge saying that Kid Cudi wasn't going to be there. I have the letter. Sino has the letter and the actual court document letter. Boom, there it is. Yep, to unseal the government's and defense's communication chamber and evidence. The docket right there. Boom. So ain't no cap. We got all the documents right here. Now, so they said, please get the witness, Mr. Gannon, and check on the jury. Welcome back, Mr. Gannon. So everybody's back in. Court started today. So the government starts it off. Let's continue with the items you seized on Star Island. GX 215. What is this? High heels, some sex items, and some in the master closet. What is this? 3 cell phones found in one of the boots. They was like, government says, display the Gucci bag for the jury. So they pull up the GX10A and the stipulation zone on paragraph 5, which is a white plastic bottle. It contained a liquid residue of meth and liquid MDMA. Dun, dun, dun. They said these pills was found with a Tesla imprint on them. These had the active ingredients of Xanax. This $100 bill had residue of cocaine on it. Mr. Gannon, what's this? A dark wooden box with the word Puffy on top. How do you know that this is the Astroglide and the baby oil that you seized? How many bottles of each? 31 Astroglide, 25 baby oil bottles. Why'd you take the rubber ducky? That's all I want to know. Why the rubber ducky had to go? So they was like, any other cell phones found? Yes. BX 1301, page 3, paragraph 11. And they said, was a gun found in the suitcase? Yes, a 45. So the government holds up the bullets for the jury. No further questions. So they said, crawl. So the defense jumps up and they said, all right, now the defense gets their chance to talk to this witness. There they go. Okay. The day you searched, you knew that Mr. Combs was leaving the country with his twins' daughters, right? They said, sidebar, objection. So they go up to the judge and they start talking. Then they come back and then, Terry, Gergogos, the main lawyer, says, All right. In planning the search, you knew that none of the targets of the investigations would be there, right? Objection! And they were like, overruled. We just met at my desk about this. He reworded it, and that's what he said. And they were like, overruled. You can answer the question, Mr. Gannon. The plan was to have him not there, but we had contingencies. So they planned on nobody being at the house when they did the raid. Why is that? It's very interesting. So Diddy's lawyer said, what type of vehicles did you use? Armored vehicles. And they said, and a boat? Come in by land and by sea, right? It's common practice. And Gergo said 80 or 90 agents, right? Not all at the same time. Okay. He said, you found 6 people and kept them in handcuffs for an hour, right? And they were like, no, ma'am. There was one individual who wasn't happy with us and wasn't cooperating. So we kept them in handcuffs longer. Because he wasn't happy with cuffs? There was a music studio in the guest house, right? DX 305. Do you recognize this? Yes, ma'am. It's the studio. And they said, move to admit. So they showed the video of Diddy's studio that has a mixing board, keyboards, love, and jewels scripted all over it, right? So they're showing him all of this. Yeah, so he's the HSI guy that they put on the stand, Agent Gannon, right? So they said the gun was wrapped in a towel. It didn't look like how you displayed it to the jury yesterday. They said the gun was wrapped in a towel, right? It didn't look like the way you displayed it to the jury yesterday, right? Yes, ma'am. Did you find any photos of Mr. Combs with these firearms? We did not. Do you agree that the handgun's metal is easier to get fingerprints than maybe any other type of device? Can't say if it's easier, but it can be done. Can you get prints off a gun easier when it's inside? I think so. And they said at HSI, you have Mr. Cohn's DNA, right? I don't know. When he was arrested, the government took DNA swabs, right? I don't know. They're like, hold up the Gucci bag. He's like, the drugs was in this bag and in the puffy box? Right. And he was like, yes. Your Honor, I'm going to introduce a sealed exhibit with the help of IT. May I approach the witness? Judge said yes. We may proceed DX 304. So the government cut off the screens, right? So we can't see the exhibit. So they said, please don't say the names of these people in the photos others than my clients. Don't talk about it. So they said, okay. And they said, can we confer with counsel? So they wanted to confer with the government to make sure he don't say something stupid. So they said, you may. So they took down the sealed exhibit. And they said, Agent Gannon, you live in Florida. Don't many people have guns in their home there? Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you about Florida? I told y'all about Florida. Y'all keep thinking this is an open shut case with guns. I'm like, Florida law don't give a damn about you having a gun in Florida. Good luck with that. He had 2 ARs in his room. They don't give a damn about no guns in Florida. But now that it came up in the trial, it seems like once again I must know what the hell I'm talking about. But again, here we go. We got to kick it right back off. The government's objection, the judge said rephrase it. Do you have guns in your home? Yes. No further questions. So they did a redirect, and the government says no. So he was down. And they said the government calls Dr. Don Hughes. What is your profession? And Dr. Hughes is a clinical forensic psychologist. She treats people who was in World War II with such an honor, right? They said, how many times have you testified in court? 60 to 50 times. In Southern District of New York, ENDY, all these people from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Virginia. They said, we offer that Dr. Hughes as an expert. They was like, no objection. They said, well, what to pay covering? He said, they didn't ask him about the face. It's not here in the transcripts, sir. So they said, when she got there and started talking about the victim's memory, her stay, and they said, why have you been retained by the government? And have you been retained by the government? She said, yes. What is your hourly rate? And they said 600, 6,000 for 1 day in court. They say, why do victims stay? Dr. Hughes says there are psychological bonds and the psychological consequences of the abuse. So the government said, what are the levels of fear? It ranges from physical violence to butterflies. Violence doesn't have to happen all the time. They said, what is psychological violence? Oh, that's me. I'm psychologically violent. They said intimidation, throwing things, telling you what you can do and where you can go. That the defense is like objection. Judge is like, hold on, I'm gonna strike that last answer because that's nonsense. I'm psychologically violent without throwing things. That's to me, that's just violence. So the government, they have Miss Mitzi Steiner. She comes up like, what can be the role of sexual abuse? And Dr. Hughes said, it puts the victim in a significant psychological fear. What does it prevent leaving? Dr. Hughes says, shame, denigration. They don't want to think about it. What is emotional abuse? Putting down your partner, feeling like a piece of crap. What about financial dependence? The abuse controls households and transportation, taking away her laptop. Objection! Sustained. Now, taking away her laptop. Now you're basically saying everything Cassie just said on the stand. So that's what they like, look, objection. Are you familiar with love bombing? And Dr. Hughes says, yes, the honeymoon phase. The abuser showered her with gifts and affection to get her back. Does this attempt to leave happens over time? Dr. Hughes says, yes, it takes multiple attempts. Which is the most common coping mechanism? Trying to work it out. Because of the trauma bond, you don't want to lose your partner. Personal coping mechanisms. How does placing and appeasing work? Well, trying to avoid abuse. What is memorization? The victim says maybe that they had a bad day at work. Maybe they were intoxicated in a way to stay in the relationship, but it increases their risk. It's not a long-term strategy. It gets no one assaultive episode to the next. What about the power relation? A person can have power As principal of a school, the victim asked, "Who's going to believe me?" When does the victim finally speaks? In a safe environment or after psychological help? What type of language do victims use when they first speak of it? She said, they minimize. They are piecemeal. They remember the chipping paint on the ceiling, the smell of alcohol on the perpetrator's breath. And they had a sidebar. They said, sidebar, we got to talk about this. Like it was. So Johnny Bach comes in with, that's Alex Shapiro's husband. Only recent brought on, he was like just recently brought on to the case. So Bach says, I'm going to take this one. So Bach comes in and said, your clients, you observe them closely, right? Their cognitive styles. She said, yes. People don't fit into boxes, right? She said, there are categories. But you have to listen to particular individuals, right? She says, I'm not divorced from my training. They said, Bach said, when you do forensic work, you want a lot of sources of information, right? It is relevant. You look at the police reports and witness reports, right? And she's like, I like correct. Yeah, that's correct. You're familiar with mangering, right? She's like, I am. So when they went down that path and started going down that road, they said, oh, okay, well, you're familiar with that. And they said, people can fabricate emotional responses, correct? They can. And the judge said, Mr. Bach, should we take a break here? And Bach said, I don't have a good cliffhanger. So Bach is on fire right now. So now he's finna expose this damn doctor on the stand. So they take a break. Now, what they're trying to do, for the people that's listening, what they're trying to do is give people a motive as to why would they take such a stand. Why Cassie did the dumb things that she did. Why did Cassie stay? Why does she keep going along with this? So they got this doctor on the stand that's supposed to prove that Cassie don't know what she's doing. This is psychological violence. This is what we're dealing with here. So it's not domestic, but you're still talking assault. You bringing theory into all of this. Now you're trying to excuse, this is why Cassie did that. Taking a laptop from her. This is psychological violence. So I'm like, man, we're psychologically violencing our kids when we start taking things away from them when they behave poorly. We're doing psychological damage. Get that out your hand. Nope, you're not gonna get on the phone. No video games today. Pop, this is psychological violence. The doctor's not lying. She's giving you the definition. She's giving you the definition of what's listed, but it doesn't make it so. So is the lawyer lying when the lawyer said, are you familiar with this word? And she said, yes. And he says, okay, that means that people can fabricate emotional responses, correct? And she said they can. So now they come back after the break. Break's over. It's the takeover. The break's over. So the break's over, the takeover happens, and after they come back from break, they remove old Doc. They was like, Doc, what's going on here? So they bring in Kaplan, George Kaplan. This is Diddy's guy. So before he would even testify, he had to get immunity. Now this guy is the fixer I was telling you about with Diddy. So George Kaplan comes in and he invokes his Fifth Amendment right against any self-incrimination and speaking on his working with Diddy. Certain things he will not testify on. He will take the fifth on anything involving Diddy, is what the work he did there, right? So they said, did you receive a subpoena? He said, yes. Do you intend not to answer on the 5th of any of AM grounds? He said, yes. And they said, Your Honor, please sign the immunity order, as the judge read it, and said, no. And they said, Judge, read it first. The attorney said, read it. And then he said, I will sign the immunity order. The government will seek to admit GX 69A. So now they go on break because they want to go over this amendment that they forced him to sign. So when they come back, he says, Your Honor, we emailed you the exhibit over the break. He said, we object to it as hearsay. Diddy's lawyer said, we object to it as hearsay. That statement, thank you, I feel Mr. Cohn is ambiguous. He could be saying things, thanks for the advice. You know, and the judge said, well, we will pick up after Dr. Hughes. Let's get her back on the stand. So they tried to bring Kaplan in. They was like, no, bring the doctor back to the stand. So now the doctor's coming back to the stand, right? So Bach says, okay, you're with the American Psychological Association, right? The APA, which says you should only render an opinion after an examination, right? And she's like, where? She said, this is a different role. You have not gathered enough information about the case, right? I am not rendering an opinion on an individual. Bach said, there's someone named Cassie, but you don't know what she said, right? I don't. You testified across the river in Edie, New York, right? Right. And you say the same thing, even though those cases are different, correct? It's to help the jurors understand. But it's their job to consider their case, right? You don't publish data on a patient you haven't evaluated, do you? It's confidential. So I can't cross-check your experience, the basis of what you're saying, right? So now you already see how this is going. She's never evaluated Cassie. So how is she even making these statements? Why is she here? Now, here we go. Mr. Reek Gotti, she hasn't even evaluated Cassie. So Bach said people might go to a civil lawyer to make a little money, right? And they said, the government's like, objection. And the judge is like, let's move on. He said, okay, in civil litigation, it might look for margarine, right? And they say, you gave a webinar about giving expert witness testimony, right? She said, yes, for battered women. Let me show you, DX. And they do a sidebar, and they show the sidebar of Star Island with the baby oil and the Astroglide. And they said, jurors, we're going to send you to the jury room for a bit. And the jurors leaving, the judge said, yesterday, Mr. Shapiro submitted an exhibit ex parte. Now reviewing the document here, what should I focus on? And she said, it shouldn't show this witness has a bias. And they said, and the judge said she can be shown the document about training domestic violence advocates and asked if she remembers it, but I won't admit it as evidence until she denied it and it becomes a prior inconsistent statement. So she re-entered. And then Bach said, does this document refresh your recollection? She said, let me look at it more closely. Yes. And Bach said, the fourth part is about navigating cross-examination, right? And she says, yes. Most of your income comes from court-related work, right? No, maybe half. You raised your rate to 600. It's been the same for some time, but you raised it. She's like, I consumerate with others. You've been retained hundreds of times, but you never come into court and testified in defense of a man accused of a sex crime. That's correct. I don't evaluate offenders. But you met with the prosecutors 6 times to prepare for your testimony, right? Correct. Can we have a sidebar? Now the government wants the sidebar. You haven't talked to Cassie. You haven't studied her. But you're on here giving testimony to how Cassie feels and what might be going on with Cassie, and you never evaluated her once. You've only talked to the prosecution 6 to 7 times, and they're prepping you with what to say about Cassie. Boy, and y'all keep talking about this doggone, oh, they're killing Diddy. I'll be like, they killing themselves on the stand. Y'all hearing it live on the stand. These people are getting destroyed. They are getting destroyed on this stand. They are tearing them apart. And I'm like, they're exposing these lies. Now, the question y'all should be asking this prosecution is like, what are y'all doing? And then they come up to the judge again. Then they come back, and then Botch said, did you discuss these topics with the prosecutors? With all due respect, it was mostly me educating them. But you know nothing about the case. Were you advising them on how to present evidence in a domestic violence case? Didn't you help them write briefs? Can we have a sidebar? Yes, but keep it brief, shorter than the last time. So they go up there for a sidebar again. Just as sorry it wasn't shorter. Miss Steiner, you got to shorten up your stances in these sidebars. So they get back to the case. They said, you reviewed some filings to the court in this case, right? It was all related to the subject of your expert testimony, right? She said, yes. AUSA, in fact, re-redacted. And she says, you did. You are a board-certified forensic psychologist, right? Yes. How many of those are there in New York? I think about 40. They recrossed. And Botch came back and says, your defense work is almost entirely for victims of domestic violence, right? I'm not sure that's true. You worked with Brian Steele, who defended a woman. They say you worked with Brian Steele, who defended a woman, charged and reacted to domestic violence, right? Yes. And they said, and Mr. Steele decided not to use you after meeting with you. So she worked with Brian Steele, who was defending a woman charged with reacting to domestic violence. And she said, yes. And after Mr. Steele decided not to use you after meeting with you, the judge said, move on. It was like, no further questions. So they called George Kaplan in after all this going back and forth. So George Kaplan shows up, and they said, when did you work for Cohn's Enterprises? Kaplan said, from 2013 to 2015. What fell under the holding company? Clothing, liquor, entertainment. I was executive assistant to the chief operating officer. Where did you work? 1710 Broadway, New York. What was your next position? Executive assistant to the chairman, Mr. Combs, from September 2014 to 2015. They said, who did you report to? KK, Miss Coral. She essentially ran Mr. Combs' life. Where did you report to? LA. What did you do? Carried the bags, made such things where when he wanted them, as he trusted me more. He had me around more. If I set up hotels, how many hours a week did you work? 80 to 100 hours a week. How much did you get paid? 125,000 a year to start. What did you do in the morning? Make sure everything was in the bathroom. The breakfast is cooked. He was recorded a mixtape, so he worked late. Who was security? Uncle Paulie, D-Rock, Ruben. Later licensed security in the second half of like 2015. They say, well, how frequently did you communicate with Mr. Combs? Multiple times a day. Think he could be found in the back, and iPad, drugs, whatever. So right away, the measure is kicked in, right? So they said, did he threaten you before? He threatened my job. How often? Maybe monthly. He'll say he only wants to be surrounded by the best people, and that I wasn't the best. For example, he went at me for 1 liter of water, and I brought back 2.5 liters. He said no. How did you travel on his jet or going in advice to make sure it was all set up? How did you set up his hotel rooms? There was a bag. I unpacked it, clothes, candles, Astroglide, baby oil. Who bought this? Often me. In what cities did you set up hotel rooms? LA, New York, Miami, LA, Mr. C, Bel Air, the Intercontinental. In New York, Trump by Columbus Circle in Miami, SLS. How was it booked? Frank Knight, Frank Black, based on Biggie's Frank White. Told y'all. Would you clean up rooms? Yes. Bottles of baby oil, Gatorade, once brown crystallized powder on the counter of the bathroom sink. Why did you clean it up? No hotel staff. It was implied, protecting his public image. He was keen on doing that. Explain. Objection. Overruled. I found hotels would sell photos to newspapers to shame guests. He did reach out to you from the room. Yes, for food, clothes, sometimes drugs. I did it. What drugs? Dope kit. Illegal drugs? I object to the term illegal. What other drugs? Advil, ketamine, what's he asked for? Like, what else did he ask for? I picked up drugs for him, MDMA. Who asked? Mr. Combs in LA and Miami. In Miami, Mr. Combs asked you to call a person. He came and gave you what? Bags of pills, MDMA, gave him cash. I gave the pills to Mr. Combs. And in LA, went out, met the person in Hollywood. I gave him money, gave me a bag. They were like, what? So, when all of this was going down, the government is high-fiving themselves and they say, man, we should break for the day. And they said, well, wait, there's more. They said, the proffered email chain is about Gina and Gina out of this case. They say, this proffered email that y'all sent in the chain to everybody is about Gina, and Gina is out of this case. She's not coming. She's in the indictment. They could get her, and they're choosing not to. That's what he's saying. The government's saying, Diddy's lawyer saying, look, they can go and get her, and they're choosing not to. I'll submit a letter by 10 p.m. in this document. The government, the AUSA said, well, tomorrow Mr. Kid Cudi will be here. So now they got Kid Cudi coming tomorrow to perform. Now, going off of everything they said today, they're going to continue with Kaplan tomorrow. But Gina is not coming. The government chose not to go get her. So they were like, look, they chose not to go get her. So he's sending a letter at 10 o'clock tonight. Oh, yes, they had to go meet in the judge's chambers. So all of that is being discussed right now as they're going to meet up in the judge's chambers, and they finna have some discussions about some of these things that the government is doing, because the defense is saying, look, y'all involving a lot of hearsay in this trial, and it's stuff that doesn't even make sense, like this doctor who has never defended anybody, and she only serviced domestic violence cases. It's like, you're only in domestic violence cases. This is not a domestic violence case. Why is she even here? Confusing us with testimony. We're going back into hearsay. And this judge doesn't seem like he has a spine at all. And he's allowing a lot of hearsay in this trial. Well, it's a lot of it going around and it's spreading because the situations have always changed in this story. Because if you look at the testimony, you see right away, they totally disapproved this doggone doctor who shouldn't be out there. They just ate her for breakfast. Everything they did was exposing this damn doctor. And I'm like, geez, how would you even bring this person to the stand? This lets me know the defense case is so weak, even with guns in Miami. As I told you, guns in Miami. Good luck with that. And what he was alluding to, which was huge, he was alluding to the fact that the government took DNA from Diddy when they arrested him. He's like, I don't know that. Well, they did. And when they took Diddy's DNA, and he was about to say, isn't it easy to get DNA on the gun that's inside of a house? Why Diddy's DNA is not on the gun? It's not on the shells. It's not on the magazine cartridge. So if Diddy's DNA ain't on there, how the hell are you going to sit there and say it's his gun? No, it's a lot of different angles being introduced. Mm-hmm. Because you're listening to a bunch of nonsense. Really, this trial should be a week. It really should be a week. So they got immunity for the for this guy who they didn't even want on the stand. and won't a lot of his stuff is hearsay. The rubber ducky was a sex toy? Oh, Jesus. I don't even want to know where did he put that rubber ducky. What he say? I'm gonna stick this rubber ducky up there. Here, rubber ducky. I'm like, dude, they put the rubber ducky in evidence. I'm like, dude, y'all put the rubber ducky in evidence. That was the biggest thing to me. The damn rubber ducky. Oh, yeah. The rubber ducky. Now, there's some evidence. There's a gun, 2 guns, and some shoes. Shimmy shoes. Look at that. Some heels. All is evidence. Some sex toys. And a bunch of high heels. And 2 guns. Guns in a shoebox. Guns in a shoebox. So, and it looked like he got the max in there. He ready for the freak off. Now, I didn't know it was a crime. And then they go in on the gun, the defacing. All right, guns defaced and all of this. They got the skull on it with the 2 swords across on the guns. And they put them in evidence. Diddy like, look, I don't handle that. My prints ain't nowhere on the gun. If Diddy prints ain't on the gun, how you gonna say it's Diddy's gun? It's Florida. Good luck with that. So all I can tell you is good luck with that. Oh, you know how they are. So now it's, look, Diddy got drugs. He got $100 bill rolled up. It's coke residue in it. Okay, well, did you arrest him for coke? No, you did not. So what you're trying to prove? I just want to know, why was the rubber ducky in evidence? What did the rubber ducky do? Why is the rubber ducky in evidence? Rubber ducky like, I don't know why I'm here. They got me here with this baby oil. Cassie gonna see that duck be, no, not the duck! Not the duck! Quack, quack. What did they do with the rubber ducky? Why the hell is the rubber ducky in evidence? What? I'm gonna get this Astro Glide, and I'm gonna get the rubber ducky all ready for you. It's rubber ducky time. Quack, quack, quack. It's rubber ducky time. The rubber ducky's in goddamn evidence. The rubber ducky's in there like. Oh my God. The damn rubber ducky is in evidence. The rubber ducky sound. Yes, I do anybody's voice, even the rubber ducky. The rubber ducky on the stand. They gonna put the rubber ducky on the stand. Rubber ducky, do you take the film? What'd you see, rubber ducky? Can you point to Mr. Combs? Oh my God. He says, I don't support Tory Lanez. They say, oh, that's got to be Reek again. Oh, yeah, Sino, you don't support Tory Lanez, but you support that weirdo Diddy. I'm going, oh, the case and the evidence. Once again, Reek, pay attention to what's being going on in evidence in the actual trial. Tory, I didn't even care what they said. The guy's a moron. I knew he was going to jail. Good for him. He's an idiot anyway. Let him go. The Duck Dynasty. That's a whole new Duck Dynasty there. Evidence. And this is what the government put down in. That might backfire. This might backfire on them. They use this as evidence. The government submitted this into evidence. This might backfire because they actually have video of this performance saying we wore glasses in solidarity to Cassie getting hit in the eye. She got hit in the eye, so we all wore glasses in solidarity. They was like, okay, really? Because they got video of that performance that they did. So they's like, we have that on tape, right? We got that. It's been submitted. Like, we got the tape from the actual event. Like, you want to continue with this lie that you're doing? Once again, they're turning a domestic case into any other case they want it to be. Oh, yeah, they had other evidence too. Let's get to it. There's the rope. Diddy got the rope. He got the shoes. He got it everything. Bondage, baby. Diddy's a freak. He into some freaky things. Break out the rope and the red pumps. Yeah, Diddy getting it in. Hey man, that's how Diddy move, man. Astro glide for life. Then he had some pink stuff. Yeah, it was a Diddy party for real. It was going up. It's going up. He ain't beating the feds. I don't know if he beats the feds, but I know one thing he's proven. These charges is weak as hell. And I damn sure ain't seeing no trafficking. I'm not seeing a RICO, and I'm not seeing no I forced you to do it. I ain't seeing none of that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who wanted to do it because they want to go be famous. A non-talented girl who was just getting by on her looks, being a model. Loved that lifestyle. Diddy provided for her. She wasn't worried about no damn album. She never was a recording artist any goddamn way. Then it was Diddy in that towel, and it all went left. It all went left after Diddy got down in that towel. Diddy in the towel, Diddy in the towel. Mommy ain't got my 20 damn thou. I'm Diddy with the towel. Diddy with the towel. I'm gonna get rid of you right now. It's Diddy with the towel. Diddy with the towel. You ain't got my 20,000? Oh, not now? I'm Diddy with the towel. Yeah, she lied. She want to get her money and go on and have her life. They was like, this was one day before the attack. Cassie sat down to talk about her movie. Oh, one day before the attack. Do you realize I have video of her 2 days after the attack? She's been doing press all that week. There's no bruises on her face. There's no bruises nowhere. Cassie is just, a look, a product that they use to market. Oh, this when they filmed for the commercial for that 3 a.m. Diddy was like, let me call up Cass and let's go on and do this. And the Diddy man was on. Look old Diddy. His magic happens. That's the Diddy man. Right, the magic happens. I call up Cass and then the magic happens. Yeah, that commercial 3 a.m. by Sean John, that was crazy. So all of this is to project behavior. Dude, yeah, come get me, baby. Come to me, baby. So once again, the defense was put in its place, was taught a lesson, and today was a good day for the defense, in my opinion. I think they made some strong points today. They've disproven that doctor they put on the stand. And Kaplan, well, we're going to have to see tomorrow because Kid Cudi's coming in tomorrow. They got Kaplan coming in. So we're going to see where this goes. But a lot of this is falling on social media hearsay instead of real evidence. So we're going to see how this thing plays out. Don't forget to hit the like button, y'all. I know y'all just got here for the whole 9, and we're getting ready for the next game, too. So we're going to be rolling right into that. So I'll see y'all in a few minutes. Shouts out to Kwame Brown Bus Life. Don't forget tonight I got some groundbreaking information that's gonna hit on the Patreon first before anybody ever see it on YouTube. It's also about this trial before it even started. There's other billionaire players in the game. And I will tell you who that billionaire person is. And these other partners that are in there. I came for the Knicks and saw Astroglide. Oh, don't worry, the Knicks is coming up in about 5 minutes. So get ready. I'm out. Take that, take that, take that.